Hey, this is Derica, your host on the Happiness Recipe Show 2.0, where top experts are sharing their personal stories of breaking through fear and resistance and into living their happy life and how you can do the same. I'm very excited to announce our top expert today, Mr. Jimmy Nelson. Welcome to the show.
Erica, I've been looking forward to this. I'm so excited. You talked about stories, happiness, and breakthrough. So I'm ready to go. This is going to be exciting.
You ready? All right, you guys. For those of you who have not met Coach Jimmy yet, I'll let you on his bio and then we're going to get right into those juicy questions, okay? All right, so Jimmy Nelson, aka, which I already exposed, Coach Jimmy, has been a high-performance business coach for over a decade. Jimmy's unique skill is helping his clients to seamlessly connect their personal stories to their product or service, creating a strong know, like, and trust factor. Ooh, that's powerful just by itself. Love that. Using his 20 plus years of experience as a stage and film performer, he crafted his own personal story to create a six-figure business and now dedicates his life to helping professionals craft their stories to attract and impact the lives of their ideal audiences. As Coach Jimmy says, tell a story, change the world. That is so beautiful.
I get goosebumps when you read I know my bio, and when you say tell a story, change the world, I still get goosebumps listening to that. So thank you.
Let's say it again. Tell a story, change the world. Oh, I'm loving that. That is so good. All right, you guys, I always say blue pen, white paper. Have your paper handy because I just have a really good feeling. You too, Jimmy.
I'm taking notes because I have a feeling we're going to cross some nuggets. Like, we're here to teach, but I'm always ready to take notes. You know, I feel like smart people take notes, and you never know when inspiration is going to hit, right?
That's right, you guys. So have it ready. Hopefully you have a dedicated journal for this show because there's going to be powerful nuggets of gold just exposed and poured out onto the show. So be ready. All right, Coach Jimmy, tell us your story. What led you to do what it is you're doing today?
Well, Derica, when I was in the first grade, I was exposed to I would say like the biggest addiction of my life, which seems dramatic for a first grader, but I grew up in West Texas in a little town called Lubbock, Texas. When I was in the first grade, my elementary school, we were doing a Christmas musical. Every grade got to do a different production. And my first grade class got to do a musical production called Too Fat for the Chimney. Okay. And it was a story about how Santa Claus was not going to be able to deliver presents that year because he couldn't get down the chimney because he had gotten too fat for the chimney.
Right.
And this was like the early 80s. This was before there was really like a childhood obesity epidemic. And I was the fat kid in my class. Let's call a spade a spade. I was the fat kid in my class. And at the time, I think I was the only kid that I knew of who had like divorced parents. And I say that because I just didn't have a whole lot of confidence. I didn't have a whole lot of things where I felt like they were going for me, you know, even though it was the first grade. But this thing, it was like, Too Fat for the Chimney. This is a story about Santa. And I thought, here's my opportunity. Like, I'm the fat kid in class. I'm going to be Santa Claus. And ironically, they picked my best friend, Justin Martin, who was the skinniest kid in class, to be Santa Claus. And what they did is they wrapped a bunch of pillows around him and put a Santa suit on him. And they put him upstage. So if you're not familiar with stage directions, upstage is away from the audience where it's safe. And they put my buddy Justin in a Santa Claus outfit. All my other friends, they put in like 1980s Jane Fonda workout gear, like the headbands and the leg warmers. And they literally did this aerobics like step number with Santa Claus upstage, all together, all my friends, all like the support group.
Wow.
Me, my granny sewed this whole thing together. It was like a onesie pajamas outfit that had like the feety bottoms and like the drop bottom and the little stocking cap. And poor little fat insecure Jimmy, they pushed to the edge of the stage to sing the music, to sing the solo, Too Fat for the Chimney.
Wow.
And I was shaking. I was so nervous that I had no confidence. And I got to the edge of that stage. And there was something that when I just opened my mouth and those first couple of, he's too fat for the chimney, too fat for the chimney, I saw people smile. I saw my peer group accept me for the first time. And really, Derica, check this out. It was like
Mm.
being from a broken home in a really ugly custody battle. I
Mm.
had always felt like I was having to play one role at mom's, one role at dad's. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I just got to be me. Ironically, I was playing a role on stage,
Yeah.
but I felt at home. And that's where I knew, if I look at it backwards, where
Mm-hmm.
I knew what I was supposed to do the rest of my life was to get an emotional response from an audience, to either inspire them, entertain them, move them in some ways, because I felt like I found something that was mine. The ironic thing, or the weird thing about that, and I think a lot of people deal with this, is we have those things in our guts that we know we're designed for. Like we know, like, this is it. But we immediately make a list in our head of why we can never do it. Right? Like we're like, oh, I'm supposed to do this. And for me, I had this laundry list of
Yeah.
you're too fat, your parent situation. Later, as I tried to become a performer, it was I didn't have the money to go to the schools or get the training that I wanted to. And I got really good as I was growing up at explaining away why I was in my own circumstances. What I call it is a victim mentality. And what I mean by that is it was never totally my fault where I was. I was like, oh, this is why things are easier for this person. And this is why I'm struggling here. And that was really hard growing up, because I got to the point where I was like, oh, let me explain to you why I haven't made my dreams come true. Let me explain to you why I know I'm designed to do this, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And that sent me on this journey of I felt like I had this purpose. I felt like I was supposed to do these things. But the next thing I knew, I was in my early 20s. I was 100 pounds overweight. I was a 3-time college dropout. My mom calls me on the phone. I'm in Florida trying to go back to school. And she says, Jimmy, we see all the collection agency bills. I maxed out a few credit cards back then. So she was worried.
Yeah.
And she's like, we think you should come home. And Derica, that's the most defeating thing, is I wanted to fight with her and say, no, but I just surrendered. I just knew she was right. And so I moved back home in my early 20s, 100 pounds overweight. I'd given up on my dreams. This little boy at first grade who had this dream that all died. And I came back here to Dallas, Texas, where my parents still live, moved back in with my parents. And I just started waiting tables and bartending, and just went from trying to pursue anything to just basically surviving day to day. It was the same day over and over. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I was getting ready to go do another bar restaurant shift. I was staying in a bedroom upstairs in my parents' house, took a shower, wrapped the towel around me, and was going to go get ready, because being 100 pounds overweight, didn't spend a whole lot of time in the mirror. And I just stopped. And I didn't respect the person looking back at me. And I thought, who's going to love this? Like, Jimmy, this is your life. You're 22 years old. If you don't do something different, this is it, bro. And that literally was the first time in my life I took 1,000% responsibility for where I was. It wasn't, let me explain why it's easier for that person to do this job or do this thing. Let me explain away why it's not my fault. It literally was, you've moved 3 times. You keep changing exteriors. And the only thing that's following you along is you. And for me, that was the wake up moment. And that was the pivot. And that's what started me on this journey, not only to reclaim my physical health, obviously dropping the 100 pounds and keeping it off for over 10 years now, but figuring out what pieces of my story, where did I have to grow? Where was this thing that was going to make me happy? And it was in this that I've realized that for me, happiness really comes from any steps of progress. That literally, like, it's not about the finish line. It's not about a certain weight. It's not about a certain income. It's starting to embrace this progress, this self-growth. And that's what I've done over the past, now 13 years in business. And I've just fallen in love with personal growth. And whether it's helping my clients, help them with their story and how do they build their businesses, or just helping them be an encourager for them to go from looking at self-growth as something that is a punishment as to something that we really get to look forward to.
Yes. Oh, You hit it on the head, because I feel a lot of us are doing this as you're talking, like, been there, some of us are still right in that moment where
Yeah,
in that bathroom where you're looking in the mirror, right? And you're just like, who else is going to look at this? Or like,
absolutely.
who's going to, like, how much of that self-talk do we have? Like you said, you had a laundry list. And I did too. Like a laundry list of these excuses and reasons for why, oh, we didn't make it there, or we can't do that, or we can't do that. That's that barriers we're talking about. The fear and resistance, these damn negative ants, we call them, automatic negative thoughts. They're
Oh,
just,
that's good. Yeah.
right? Ants that just squash them. So those come up for you. And then let us in on what you did back then. If you can get specific, like, you're faced with your barrier.
Mm-hmm.
You hear those things loud in your head. I'll never make it. I can't lose weight. Who's going to like me? All these things. What did you do? Like, yes, you had that pivot point in the mirror, but what was the next steps to come?
Absolutely. And I'm love that this is where we're going with this, because what I tell people is that time in the mirror, there wasn't a lightning crash outside. There wasn't that I felt motivated every day that I woke up, but I literally keep this on a sticky note here to remind me. And it says, are you willing to be willing? And for the first time in my life, I was willing to be willing to look at things a different way. I was willing to be coachable. I was willing to not just judge things, because I always find it really ironic. So one of the very first things, I was willing to be willing, right? I told you I was bartending. Yeah. A buddy that I was working with, I watched him losing weight.
Wow.
And where I envy you ladies is that if you see a girlfriend that's doing something, or like clothes, makeup, hair, weight, whatever, you're like, oh my gosh, what did you do? And you guys like share, and we guys don't roll the same way. And so it's hard for us to just roll and be like, yo, Jeremy, you look pretty good in them jeans. What you been doing, buddy? Like there was this whole ego thing with us, even though he was doing exactly what I wanted to. So finally, sometimes it's ego versus results. What's more important to you? Your pride, or literally getting the thing you say you want. So I finally asked him, I'm like, okay, dude, what are you doing? And I remember he told me, he's like, hey, I'm doing these DVDs. And I was like, no, I literally said no. So again, here's somebody, somebody has what you want. Let's say it's a lifestyle. Let's say it's an income. Let's say it's happiness. Let's say it's that body. And you see somebody else with results, and you ask them, what are you doing? And when they actually tell you, immediately you go, oh, that's why this wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
Or I've tried one of those before, or somebody tried that and that didn't work. Like you're literally looking at somebody that's living proof. And that's what I did with this guy. And I didn't realize I was going to pattern things I would run into later in life, right? Because I think now that we're on this side and people ask us these questions and they immediately want to negate this. So for me, I had to go back and go, okay, am I willing to be willing? Normally, I would think DVDs or in-home workouts were, go back to Jane Fonda and Santa Claus, right? It was like, that's all I knew about those. But finally, I realized, okay, this is something I can do at home. I'm not intimidated, because I used to just my mindset was so messed up that the few times I used to try to go to a gym, and I would go in with like my Men's Health magazine where they had like a sample workout in the middle. So I'm like pulling that out.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody was like on the other side of the gym having a conversation, laughing. I always assumed they were laughing at me. I mean, that's just where I was mentally. And so I started doing these in-home workouts. And what was so great about it is, for me, taking control of my health and fitness started this domino effect of other places. So it started with me physically, and that led to mindset shift. That's really where this inner entrepreneur that I didn't know was inside me was born. But it all started with adopting some physical habits, and it was all little baby steps. So when I talk to people now about like what my morning routine is, the caveat's like, look, I know it's extreme. I get up super early, and I get more done by 9 o'clock than most people do all day long. And I said, but I didn't go from Jimmy in the mirror to this version of me overnight, because if I did, I think that's where a lot of people fail. They try to take on too much all at once. And there's this perfectionism of, if I can't do it perfect, I'm not going to do it. And for whatever reason, I didn't fall victim to that. And so what I would do is, hey, let me try this one little thing. And I would see some results and go, oh, let's use food for an example. I remember the very first time I tried to do anything food-wise, I would go to the same fast food place all the time. And the very first conscious effort I made to make a different choice is, instead of my combo number 3, I got 2 chicken sandwiches, told them to hold the mayo, and got a Diet Coke. Like, it was like one little step.
Yeah.
But I saw the scale move. So I was like, okay, well, if I do that, then what can I do this? And so I have found that you asked, like, what was the shift? It was these tiny little things. And, you know, also with inside that community that I found, because there was this whole online community of people that went with it. And I found a group of people that believed in me before I believed in myself. And I'd never had that before in my life. And I had never allowed anyone to hold me accountable. So what was so cool about this group of people was that the days I needed a pat on the back, that I really beat myself up because it wasn't perfect or missed a workout or binged on some food, they would be like, dude, Jimmy, give yourself some grace. And on other days where I probably had a lot of excuses, wanted to go back to that victim mentality, I got a kick in the pants saying, yo, just step up. Like, you need to get over yourself and do this. And so, but then they also introduced me to the idea of personal development. Because what I found was I was losing this weight. I looked different to other people on the outside, but in the mirror, in my head, I still saw fat 3-time college dropout Jimmy. And I was trying to pursue an acting career at the time. And it was funny because I started running into people that never knew the heavy me. But they would put me up for, like, I always thought I'd be like the fat, like, sidekick role, right? And all of a sudden, here I look like a leading man to people that have never met me, but I don't see that. And I'm not carrying myself that way, whether it's in my career or in my day-to-day life. And finally, I had a mentor that asked me, he's like, Jimmy, what are you reading? What are you listening to? I'm like, I don't read anything. I was like, I'm a 3-time college dropout. Me and books don't get along. And he really challenged me. He's like, Jimmy, he goes, where you're stuck, he's like, is what's between your ears, has nothing to do with your waistline. And he really started challenging me to, like, read what he called read 10 pages of a good book a day. And that was really my introduction into personal development, which I wanted to fight because I just thought it was a bunch of hogwash. But again, it goes back to this, are you willing to be willing? Yeah. The pain point gets high enough sometimes that we're forced to move, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This is so good. You guys, I'm over here taking a bunch of notes. You guys better be taking notes too. This is just, well, you can also replay, but this is amazing. So in the first steps, you guys, you're in the mirror or you're on the couch or you're wherever, you're in the depths of despair, right? We're in that fetal position, yes. Crying like, right? You got to get past that ego. You said, get past that ego, ask for help. Really reach out, ask, whether it's that friend that's doing and having whatever it is you're wanting, or maybe it's online now. I mean, you can reach out to anyone, do that. But reach out, get past the ego. Certainly if you're a guy, girls tend to be a little bit more asking those questions. Baby steps. So this is a beautiful recipe that he's giving out right now. This is a formula. So you got the baby steps. How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time, right? Yeah.
There you go. So we're doing these baby steps. So we're setting ourselves up for success. How many times have we said, I'm going to lose 40 pounds, or I'm going to go write that book, or I'm going to, like, no. Yeah. Let's write a paragraph. Right. Let's start out right there, you guys. So baby steps. And then I love what you said. A caveat to that is, like, reflect on it. So you said, I just went to chicken sandwich, went for the Diet Coke. And then you reflected on, this is where the mind works, you guys. When we're so aware and we're actually taking note of our progress and what's happening around us, we are rewiring ourselves. So instead of going oblivious, we're like, wait, man, I had a chicken sandwich for a whole week. What has that done to my body or my energy? Right, so you did that. That gave you confidence. That action is building the confidence, right? So you're shifting in a new habit. And then surround yourself with people that have your back, believe in you. Now, some people are saying, okay, like, Coach Jimmy, Derica, how are you, like, where are these people at, or, maybe I don't have the money or whatever. You guys, that's excusitis. That is one of your things on the laundry list right there, because in the world that we're in today, there's free communities everywhere. Right, there's resources everywhere. So that's something you did. You found some, even if you find one person, your best friend, your mom, like
Yeah.
somebody.
Well, one of my favorite quotes is, "You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with."
Yes.
And that can be online too. I mean, I think some of my first mentors were what I consider long distance mentors, like even today. So one of the things I do every morning when I wake up is I say, my weight loss battle wasn't the biggest battle of my life. It's the one that goes on between my ears still every day. And I have to attack my mind before my mind attacks me. It is a battle I choose to fight. I'm going to say that again. I have to attack my mind before my mind attacks me. And what do I mean by that? I mean, the first thing I do when I wake up, I'm laying in bed. I don't know my name. It's dark.
Yes.
I know they always tell you don't grab your phone. I do, and turn on like the YouTube usually has like these motivational, like these montages, and you're listening to people like Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins and Les Brown and Brendan Burchard. And so to the point where now when I open up my app on YouTube, that's all it suggests for me, because it knows.
Yeah.
Why do I need to do that? Because I found I was either turning on the news first thing and just hearing about what all was wrong with the world. Yeah. I was turning on ESPN or something like that just as a distraction. Or even if I was just left with myself in silence, that negative chatter was there about dictating what kind of day I was going to have. And I was like, how do I take control of this? And so I found by turning on something like that, I had something that was pouring into my spirit immediately, telling me why it was going to be a good day, telling me why I was worth it. And all of a sudden, there are actual studies that talk about that first 10 to 15 minutes you're awake is this alpha zone where your mind is more like open as a sponge of a dictation of what the rest of your day is going to be like in those first 15 magic moments. And so for me, it's literally what I do. Get up, turn that on, and I don't even have to be looking at my phone, right? It could be something in the background.
Yeah.
Even where just because your subconscious is listening to it regardless of what you think. So you could take it with you into the bathroom, brushing your teeth. For me, it was as I was getting ready for my workout in the morning. So if I had my pre-workout and this and that, there was a good anywhere from 10 to sometimes 30 minutes of this hidden time. And so sometimes I think when we think of personal development, we think it has to be maybe like this, like here down notes, and I have to be super present. There are passive great ways to do this as well. And so for me, it was literally getting to the point where I craved these talks in the morning. And then you get to where you start listening kind of to the same ones over and over again. And I knew my life was changing when I could start finishing some of these sentences for people where you forget, is this something I created? Did I hear this from something else? Because you start taking ownership of some of these concepts of, don't wish it was easy or wish you were better, or, these things of, how do you continue to up your game? Why are you worth it? Why is, and it goes back to stripping away these self-limiting beliefs we put. If we go back to the list that first grade Jimmy had, or we all have, it's this literally this discipline of continuing to really brainwash ourselves in a positive way, because we have so many old habits of how we've thought up to this point, and it's like grooves in a record player that we got to go scratch the grooves. We got to create new grooves, and that only happens from repetition. So it's something I still do every day. This far in, it's not like, oh, I mastered it. I had to somewhere along the way. Same thing with my fitness, anything else. I had to fall in love with the process.
Yeah. And I love how you say, you guys, it's over time, right? So in the beginning, you're going to fake it till you make it. It's really like, oh gosh, another Tony Robbins, or, it might feel like that.
You don't always feel like it at all. In fact, the other day, one of the quotes that came on there was John Maxwell talking, and John Maxwell said something along the lines of, there are certain people that wait till they feel something and then they do it. And then there's people that say, I'm going to do it so I feel like it. And I really believe over and over again that feeling of what people want to label as motivation, I feel really is a gift from the universe for those of us that take action. Then Zig Ziglar talks about this. He's like, it's like looking at a furnace and say, you produce heat, then I'll add the logs. And it just doesn't work that way. And so if we'll start to take these actions, and I know it's tough, you don't feel like it, but if you'll just continue to show up and really believe that you're worth it, right? That you're going to fight for you. You're going to fight for that mindset. You're going to fight for the best version of yourself. And if you hit that wall enough, then you do start gaining some momentum and it gets easier and you look forward to it and you do see these changes and it goes from this have to this get to.
Yes, the have to. It does. It feels like the climb, you guys, up the mountain, depending on where you're at. If
Sure.
you're watching this right now and it's like, oh my goodness, okay, my 15 minutes in the morning, I love, CNN. I love. Someone called it constant negative news, CNN. I was like, God, that's so awesome. But we become addicted to that. Like he said, there's grooves in the record player, and that is what got us out of bed. That is what fed our emotions or whatever. Like we got used to that, and it's going to be scratching that surface. Don't turn on the telly and then pressing this motivational anything, you guys. There's tons of freebies out there. Eventually, even if you're brushing your teeth and doing it, whatever, you're not even conscious of it. Subconsciously, you're picking it up, and if you just press play.
And you're not having to find more time in your day, right?
Nope.
You can do this while you're doing all the things you would normally do in the morning. So it's not like, oh, I'm trying to carve out an extra 15, 30 minutes, the same way you would if I was going to sit down and like grab one of these books and read. Yes, that I have to carve some time out of my day. The example I just gave, it isn't, because it's in the background while you're doing all the things you would be doing anyway in the morning.
And it's rewiring your mind. There's same thing. I do the same thing, you guys. It's like I've been doing this 13 years now too, and it's
Awesome.
like brushing your teeth. Like there's not a day if I don't start my morning out like that, searching for gratitude, getting pumped up, feeding my mind with happy news, I'm gonna feel the grungies. I'll start to feel other stuff seeping in throughout the day. So it is that mindful matter of like you said, be worthy. I love that. Like, know you're worthy enough for this, and just start it like that and just see that ripple start to happen. And the more you do it, it's so delicious. It gets so
That's a great way to put it. It is delicious. Right? That's awesome.
It does. Your body starts to crave it, you guys. It's like, play these in the background. This is yours now. Play this. You don't have to be doing, you can be doing the dishes.
Yeah.
Your body starts to crave anything that's good for you.
And it's a great, even if in the middle of the day, if the day's not going well, for me, it's a great reset.
Yeah.
Too, it's sometimes it's like, okay, I need to stop. I can feel where this is going. Things are not going right. Maybe some of them are in your control. Sometimes they're out of your control, but you're like, okay, I'm just gonna reset. I'm gonna listen to something for 3 minutes and just see if I can put my focus on something else, and it really is amazing how powerful that is.
That's so good, you guys. Right, take notes. So we're all feeling it. We're all in this human experience together. There's always contrast, no matter how much money we make, no matter, life is life. We have to have the duality here. So you're starting to feel it. Like you're saying, Coach Jimmy, you're going through the day and still at some point you might feel down. Something triggers you inside or outside. But the awareness is like, okay, I feel it now. Let me do something about it before I start to spiral. Let me just intervene with an audio, a book, walk outside, right?
Yeah, anything to interrupt the pattern. That's so true. And becoming self-aware is a huge skill set. And the nice thing about a skill set is something anybody can do. You don't have to be talented to start becoming self-aware, but you just described it so well of, again, putting that ego aside and being honest enough with yourself to go, I know my pattern. I tend to do this, and I go this direction. Somebody says this, I get defensive. I say this, something else happens. And it's not always easy to sometimes go, okay, I understand where my strengths are. And I also understand where some of my shortcomings are. And what can I put in my life to kind of interrupt those?
Yeah. Would you say something that's coming to me right now? Would you say it's helpful for us? Okay, we're developing self-awareness, right? We're not consciously competent yet, right? Or unconsciously competent. We're just like acting out autopilot. We don't even know what this laundry list is yet. It's sort of like, would you say, let's just sit down and be just raw with ourselves, get a notebook out and write down all of those things that, like our excuses. What are the same damn excuses that pop up, right? What are our weaknesses even? Isn't that like, I know it's work we don't want to do, but how valuable is that?
A lot of the times, the thing I do, so if I'm, do the mindset thing, I tend to do my workouts first thing in the morning because I find, Tony Robbins talks about this a lot. If you want to change your state, change your physical state. And so And it was also something to me that I used to just kind of do my workouts if and when I would get to it. And I found out that life will find things to interrupt you. So I was like, look, there's no interruptions at 5 a.m. I'm not a morning person naturally. Because when people are like, oh, I'm just not a morning person, Jimmy, I'm like, I was a theater guy and a bartender. I used to end my nights at 3 a.m. I get it.
Yeah.
But I started studying people that were successful. It's where's the pain point? There's a great old fable that talks about this old man sitting on a patio or on a porch with his dog. And this little kid walks by and the dog is moaning and groaning. And the kid's like, what's wrong with your dog, mister? And he's like, oh, he's sitting on a nail. He's like, well, why doesn't he move? And he's like, well, it doesn't hurt enough to move. It just hurts enough to moan and groan. And that's where most people are in their lives right now. They're willing to just talk about it or explain it, but they're not willing to do anything about it, right? And so for me, it was, okay, what can I shift? So little by little, again, I didn't go from waking up at noon to waking up at 5 without an alarm. It was in little increments. Yeah. So it's mindset, it's physically move, and then exactly what you just said, it's thinking on paper. We get stuck in our heads. And so I will write anywhere from 1 to 3 pages in the morning, just free form, anything. And allowing myself, if I want to complain on paper, if I want to say I'm not feeling it today, and just getting this energy out of here onto the paper. And then it's there, it's sometimes maybe I have these great inspirations. I have these great business ideas or way to serve my community or relationship things. Yeah. But then sometimes it's just, and maybe some mornings it is self-aware. It's like, golly, those negative thoughts keep coming in. And so there's not always a solution on the paper, but it's part of the process, right? We're putting it out there and we're kind of telling our brain, hey, here's something that keeps coming up. And what's crazy is when we do that, the subconscious starts going to work even when we're sleeping and something. So the solution may not come up in immediately or in 24 hours, but we've put it down there, that thinking on paper, that something may come to you by the end of the week or by the end of the month, because instead of trying to ignore it or letting it spiral in your head and here, you've put it somewhere else. And that starts the process of looking to solve the problem.
Yes. Oh, there's so much gold in that, you guys, because you'll start to see a pattern. Like if you just challenge yourself for even a week to wake up and just like vomit your thoughts on the paper, you'll start to see that laundry list. You'll start to see, repeated pattern of kind of, this is what I think about the day or myself or whatever it is. Now you can do something about it because it's right there. But also, if you guys ever notice, like, it's super big in here. Like whatever you're thinking about is ginormous, right? It's amplified. But if you got that same stupid sentence and you put it on the paper, you're like, you sized it up. It's like, so true. Right? So that's healing work and subconscious work right there. That is so powerful. I love it. Challenge yourself, you guys. Do what Coach Jimmy is saying. Just like dump a page. It doesn't have to be a couple. Just dump, like, what are your first thoughts in the morning? That will show you a lot about yourself and where you're vibrating, what you're feeling, basically what you're creating. Yeah. Right?
Because when we leave it in our head, we forget what we just thought about. And we don't understand why we're in a bad mood or what are we defensive or pissy about. And so, but yes, the minute it's on that page, and if you go back and review things, the other thing, the other day I came across a journal. And once I started really understanding like goal setting and mindset and getting specific on the things that I wanted, because I didn't know, it was just like, I want things to change. But if somebody asked me what my actual goals were, I literally remember when I was in high school, I remember telling like a counselor or somebody that I was like, I don't want to set any goals because I don't want to not hit them and be disappointed. And I thought that was a very responsible way to live. Yeah. Because I was like, I'm saving myself here. But then I was always miserable because I was never pursuing anything. And I truly believe happiness comes from the pursuit of something in progress, regardless if you ever hit the finish line. So if my goal is, if I'm at 0 and my goal is to get to 100 and I work my face off and I only get to 60, my life is better at 60 than it was at 0 if I never tried. And I think people don't try because they're like, well, what if I fail? Great. Even if you don't hit the ultimate whatever goal, you are gonna be further along because of the pursuit. And every little thing that I did, every 5 pounds, every little segment of my business, every little thing of trying to figure it out, I felt accomplished in some way, if it was something small. And you have to celebrate those tiny little victories. Your story where it is right now is full of tiny little great things that you're not giving yourself credit for. You're not taking the time to be self-aware. For me, if people watch, like sometimes I'll post like workout stuff on my Instagram, and I always get asked after a set or something, I pat my leg. I'm like, Jimmy, what's up with that? And I was like, it's my little attaboy just for myself. It's just for me, just like, hey, good job, keep going. And I don't make a huge deal out of it, but it's just a reminder of, hey, you're doing something good. You know, a little bit of reward. It's a little carrot out there as well. And I find that people either set big goals and chase them, and then let's say they get to something and they run to the next, so they never acknowledge all the tiny little steps they did. So they lead to burnout because they never go, oh, I did that. That was good. Take a time to celebrate. Or I've also run into people and work with people that maybe they set a goal physically or in their business and they get to it and then they exhale and celebrate too long and they lose that momentum and they kind of become a one-hit wonder and they never. So it's that balance of set the goal, chase it, acknowledge how it went, celebrate a little, and then you got to set the next one. And again, it's, and to some people, and I remember I listen to myself now, and I know at one time that would have seemed daunting. Like, well, when do you ever get to just put it on cruise control? Because that's what I always thought. I was like, oh, there's going to be a time when I'm like at a certain weight or a certain income or a certain influence, or I've worked with a certain number of people, and then I just get to chill. But there's always going to be a next mountain and a next challenge. And instead of looking at that as bad news, fall in love with the process. Again, I think about my time in New York City as an actor, being in like scene study classes or preparing for a play. And I had a mentor that talked about, if you will fall in love with the process more than the performance, you will always be growing. And you only get the applause from the audience in public when you fall in love with what you do in private daily.
Ooh.
And that's where I love being on stage. I keynote speak huge events and stuff, but it's in working on my craft that I enjoy those because I know I'm going to be ready. And it's that process of not getting ready, but staying ready. And it comes back to self-discipline. But like we keep saying, it's in these little baby steps. So give yourself some grace. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be you joined the 5 a.m. club and got the mindset and knocked out your workout. And I know I'm giving you a lot of stuff right now. And it's just because I want to pepper you with the things that I wish you could have known me before, because I literally am a different animal now. And what makes me excited about that is that this guy that you never knew is now this man sitting in front of you. I know there's cool things for you because I had a lot to overcome. And so that's why I want to just encourage you and just pour into you and say, it's possible, you're worth it. And just think long game with this. Not, I'm going to try this for 7 days. I'm just going to try this. Like, look, I'm in it because I'm worth it. And where you'll end up, you will shock yourself.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And every time, you guys, I love how, there's this instant gratitude thing that's going around. Everything's like Amazon Prime and like instant, gotta feel, happy right now. But honestly, like you said, it's the pursuit of happiness is the pursuit of that, whatever that thing is in creating, right? So it's whatever you're creating or obtaining or having, you're the most happy when you're going after that bad boy, right? Like when you're creating it, when you're doing that. So what does that mean, you guys? We're never done. We're absolutely never done. I mean, I've had 4 kids and I've got like my body all back down to this little weight. And I'm in this group now where I'm like, I want to gain 8 pounds of muscle. Like, I thought I was done. I'm not done. We'll never be done,
I work harder now on this stuff than I did when I started. Like my fitness or my mindset or all these things, there's the next challenge and it's the next, and you do fall in love with the chase.
Yeah. Like
goals are great, but I don't know if you've ever said this where you've set this big goal and on the other side, you feel accomplished, but you go, thought this would feel a little different. And there's something more rewarding about the chase than there really is about crossing the finish line. And that's really not bad news because you can always create the next chase.
Yes, you guys. I heard someone said before, like, it's like chewing gum. like creating happiness like chewing gum. It's like all the flavors in the chew, but then once you're done, it's like, this is old gum. I want my next piece.
That's a good analogy. I haven't heard that one. I like that.
Yeah, like on the process, chew like all the flavor, and then you're done. You're like, okay, next thing, next big thing, next cut, next level of who you are. It's not daunting, you guys. Look at your entire life. You have been up leveling yourself since a baby. Like you've been doing this, you've been setting these goals, and you know what we're talking about. You've been most excited, most fulfilled in the creation of whatever it is you were wanting, another career, a mate, whatever it was, you were most happy in that process to it, the journey to it.
Yeah, and a lot of times when we're younger, right, we don't realize, so we always think, oh, there's too much, I'm overwhelmed, right? Which is a big bugaboo word with me. I always feel like overwhelmed is a choice. Let's make a better choice, because, the reason I say that is overwhelmed disguises itself as procrastination.
Yeah.
Because it's us saying, I have so much going on, I can't do anything, which is just a way to it's just procrastination disguised. But think of you growing up in school. Think of how many things you had going on in middle school or high school or college, between how many classes, writing papers, extracurricular, friends and stuff. And then somewhere we get outside of college and we think, I don't have time for any. We've allowed, because when you're growing up, these outside challenges, basically that's what it is. These challenges are put upon you. Once you're an adult, we have to choose to create these challenges, to chase something. And I was literally just talking to my trainer today, and we were talking about this very thing, that in life, if we're not creating things to chase, that's when we get apathetic. That's when we feel like we have no meaning. And so what is that for you? Is it something, because I have found that when I give myself a daunting physical challenge, like I've been in the fitness world for 13 years, I still don't like to run. And I remember the first time I decided I was going to run a half marathon, and somebody's like, well, do you like running now? I'm like, nope, that's kind of why I'm doing this, because I know it's not my strength. Yeah. And the pursuit of that, or, maybe it is starting that business or starting the blog or putting yourself out there, something that's outside of your comfort zone that you have no clue on how to do it. Don't worry about the how, will reveal itself, right? Just be willing. Again, I'm going to go back to this for the 800th time. Be willing to be willing, get out of that comfort zone, be willing to be bad at something before you're good, because you talked about it too. Somewhere along the way in society, this instantaneous things that we think we're either supposed to be immediately good at something, or it wasn't meant to be. And I'm like, when has that ever existed in life? The person that's really good at whatever thing that you admire did not come out of the womb rocking whatever they did. No. And they were willing to be bad before they got good. And really right now, in whatever part of your life that you're like, I wish I could, and you just filled in a blank somewhere, like, oh, if only you can. If you're just willing to be really awful at it first, surround yourself with some mentors, ask those questions, get rid of the ego, and you never know. But if you're going to be like, oh, but what are they going to think? Or how's it going to be? Or what if I'm bad? I've been bad at so many things, I'm losing count. And there's never been a time in my life where I woke up and I'm like, I got this all together. But I look up and I look at where I am further along, and I'm like, oh, this is great. Yeah. But I feel like I still am failing my way into wherever I am today, now that I'm on this amazing stage with you guys. I'm getting this opportunity to share something with you. And I didn't wake up this morning going, well, they're going to hear from me because I have it all figured out. It's just, look, I'm going to share with you where I am in my journey. And if I happen to be a couple steps ahead of you, hopefully this helps you. And right now, you're ahead of somebody just a couple steps. Mm-hmm. I was working with a client that I work on these workshops, helping people with their stories, right? And she said to me, she's like, Jimmy, I want to be a great an online health and fitness coach. She's like, I just need to lose 40 more pounds because I've only lost 30 and I really haven't worked out very much. And I go, whoa. I said, say that again. She's like, yeah, I'm going to be a great health and fitness coach. I need 40 more pounds because I've only lost 30. I said, time out. I said, do you realize you're a rock star right now at 30 pounds lost as somebody who's just sitting on the couch who's been thinking about it? And so often we don't put ourselves out there because we think, oh, let me hit this other metric. Somebody else is fitter than me. Somebody else has a bigger following. Somebody's a better author. Somebody's a better whatever. There will always be those people, but that doesn't mean your story right now where it is can help somebody.
Yes.
Because let's say we're gonna read, we're gonna read this book, this Gary Vaynerchuk book, and we're gonna go through it together. I'm gonna coach you through it. I don't have to be an expert at this book. I gotta be 5 pages ahead of you. Yeah. And if I'm 5 pages or a chapter ahead of you, I can help get you ready for the next 5 pages, right? So think of that where you are in your world right now. Yes, we're always going to be pursuing. And I think this is I went back to that online community. Mm-hmm. Here's a bit of where the magic happens. Just thought about now. I got in there and there were people that were ahead of me on their fitness journey that I really looked up to. Yeah. But as I was moving along in my 100-pound weight loss, there were people that were starting after me. Yeah. Even if I was just 5 pounds, 10 pounds in. But I found I could say, hey, in week 2, here's a challenge you may have. Watch out for, the pitfall here. Watch out for the speed bump. And because I bracket, so all of a sudden when I'm helping, I'm by no means an expert. I'm barely on my journey. I have so far to go, but this person's further behind than me. And so by me pouring energy into them and encouraging them, even though I'm not perfect yet, but I'm going to keep showing up daily, because if I'm encouraging this person, I better keep showing up. And then on the other side, I have somebody that's just a few steps ahead of me, pulling me along. You really create this bracket for yourself on both sides that's going to allow you to continue to progress. You're learning from somebody and moving and, continuing to swallow your ego and be held accountable. And you're pouring into somebody else, helping pull them along too. And that sets up for long-term success.
That's so good, you guys. Rehear that, replay that, because at some point, I don't care where you're at, if you're feeling unworthy, you're feeling like you can't do it. I'm not lucky. I'm not smart enough. I don't look pretty enough, whatever it is. There is somebody that was where you were at, a couple months down the road, that's looking at you, wanting what you have, wanting to be the weight you're at, wanting to have the job you have, the laugh you have, whatever it is, Yeah. So that right there, I feel like that can be a breaking through the barrier, of somebody that feels like one of those things on a laundry list, oh, I'm not good enough or whatever. Oh, you're good enough, because there's a whole slew of people back there that want to be where you're at right now and wherever you're at. So of course you're good enough, and you've created distance there. You've now have a new confidence when you look at it that way. And this is 100% truth, you guys. These are truths of the universe happen here. We are not tooting your horn. This is powerful. I love that one. And then I want to go back really quickly to that, baby scenario. You guys, we have to fail forward. I know it's fail forward, but fall forward. You look at, learning how to walk. How many times did you fall? Look at any baby. They fall all the damn time. They're just hitting, knocking their heads, and they'll cry, but they'll get back up. And eventually we learned how to walk, ride a bike, whatever it is. We didn't just wake up like that,
No, and have you ever heard a parent that ever said, I'm only going to give the baby 5 times to try to do this, and if not, we're just going to shut it down? No, they let the baby fall as many times as it needs to get there. And it's the same way with us. It's not, I tried that for a week, or I tried it for 2 weeks, or just keep showing up. You're gonna progress,
Keep showing up like your inner child, your inner baby. Yeah. No 2-year-old, 3-year-old says, oh, I fell once, I'm not going to walk again. It's no, but we do that. I failed once at that job interview, so I'm not going to go again. Or this relationship, I got heartbroken, so I'm not going to do it. We do that. So really embodying back your natural state of being is just so beautiful. Oh, this is so good. I'm getting off track. Good. Okay, you guys. Okay, Jimmy, we're on time here. We're on time, but there's a few more moments. Can you let us in on a happy hack? One more thing where you are sometimes, say you're feeling down, you get grumpy, something happens, and do you have a happy hack?
I do. Oh my gosh, I love this. I didn't even know this story. I didn't know this question was coming, and this is good. Okay. When I find that I am stuck in a rut or my own things or whatever, I go figure out who can I go encourage right now? Whatever I'm lacking in my life. I wish I was recognized more. Why does nobody reach out to me? Why is this? I just go pour into somebody else, and it gets instead of the energy flowing this way into this down thing, I literally will grab my phone and just be like, yo, hadn't talked to you in a while. Just want to let you know, thankful for you, or hey, how's that thing going, or whatever. And immediately, my number one, you pour into somebody else, you get this response back. And how often, I just feel like encouragement, like unprompted encouragement is a lost art form. But effing when you ever get it, doesn't it just change your entire day if out of nowhere you get a text or a call or a voice memo on your phone that somebody's like, hey, just want to let you know I was thinking of you and I'm thankful for your friendship. Dude, you're talking about shift my day. Well, then when I feel like, especially if things are going bad in my life and I feel like things are out of my control, it's a way for me to take back my power. Yeah. I just impacted somebody's day. I took back some power and some certainty in my life. And so, especially, I love to do it with like video text or like a voice memo so they can hear me. Mm-hmm. And you'll get these messages back of like, oh my gosh, you don't know how much I needed that today. And all of a sudden I have forgotten about whatever I was stressed about, worried about, the black hole or tunnel I was going down at the time. Because I was like, look, put my foot in the ground. Yes, I feel the way I feel. I'm just going to go encourage somebody else.
There's so much magic in what you just said. You guys, first of all, thank you. I love that you just brought that up because that's the first time this has been brought up on this show as a happy hack. And that is powerful, you guys. So think about it. A moment you're not feeling love, you're not feeling appreciated, recognized, maybe you feel alone, whatever. You've got these feelings, you're acknowledging them, and then you give that to someone else. Like if you're wanting love, you give love to someone else. If you're feeling alone, make someone feel like, together and connected. You giving that energy. Here's the magical piece too. So obviously you feel good because you just lit someone up, but it's that generosity piece. As you give, you do get. I know it's selfless, selfish, all that stuff. Like it's like whatever you put out there, you put that love out there. Every single time I've ever done that, I felt not loved and I just loved up on someone. All of a sudden, like 2-3 more people are just loving up on me. It's like this magical thing that you create by being it. So I know sometimes it's hard when we're like feeling doom and gloom and sadness, but you have an ounce more of love to give, the happiness, a sparkle. It's free. Sparkle it somewhere. Just like sprinkle it out there. It comes back tenfold, you guys. Oh, that was good.
Good.
I love that one. You guys write it down. Write it down. Okay, now we are going to get into the real juicy stuff. Coach Jimmy, what are you giving away? Are you giving something away to our audience?
Absolutely. I truly believe that your story is powerful where it is right now. You're too close to it and you don't realize the power that it has. And I have dedicated the past 13 years of my life. Once I learned how to embrace my story where I was at the time and start pouring into other people is when my life started to change. And I want to help you understand why your story is powerful and I truly believe everyone has a super powerful story if it's well crafted. And a lot of times we hear about storytelling and we just don't know how to put it together. Well, my happy accident was I had 20 years of training as an actor that I didn't realize was preparing me as I moved into the marketplace, that I knew how to tell an impactful story. If I went back to first grade Jimmy, he wanted to get an emotional response from an audience. That's what you want to do. You want to have an impact. You want to move people. And so what I put together is a story checklist that helps you go through and figure out what parts of your story go well. If you go to storywellcrafted.com, my free checklist is there. And I just walk you through what I think are some vital parts of a story and how you start putting it together. And you're going to be shocked at how you go, oh, I have that part. I have this piece and I have this piece. And so I really want you to start embracing your story, get confident with it, and start putting it into the world.
That is so good. I mean, that's full circle. That's just bravo. That is such a beautiful gift because we go back to the beginning, tell a story, change the world. We all want to change the world. We all want to make a bigger, better impact, a transformation of our planet, starting with ourselves and our kids and, our loved ones and outward. And it all starts with right here, our story, how we're showing up, how we're living. And so, gosh, I'm getting it. I'm getting that checklist. You guys get it. It's on the link below this video and how you can contact Coach Jimmy. He's phenomenal. He's on IG. He's all out there. See his posts. They're so inspiring. Check him out. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for your time and nuggets of gold. This was priceless.
Thank you. This was awesome. I really appreciate the opportunity and your trust with your audience. And hopefully we touch some lives today and we get people moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. It'll ripple forever.
Good.
All right. Love you guys so much. Hope after this video, you'll never be the same. And I'll see you on the next episode.